They told you organic meant freedom from chemicals, factory farming, and fraud. But that promise has been sold out. The same corporations poisoning the food system now own the clean brands you trust. You pay more for safety while getting the same toxins, just hidden behind a green label. Most people won't believe this until it's too late. The system is collapsing, oversight is gone, and deception wears the mask of health. If you don't watch this now, you'll keep feeding the very machine that's making you sick. Number 1. Organic produce from China. You see the green sticker, certified organic, bold and comforting, and assume purity. But behind that sticker lies a system built on paperwork, not soil. A massive percentage of organic produce sold in American supermarkets comes from China, where the label means something very different. Their certification is a business transaction, not a standard. Soil tests are rare, audits are announced weeks in advance, and inspectors rely on documents written by the very exporters they're supposed to regulate. You're not buying clean food, you're buying a promise with no proof. The problem begins at the source. China's agricultural regions have some of the highest levels of cadmium, arsenic, and pesticide residue on Earth. Industrial runoff from factories and power plants seeps into farmland that still qualifies for organic labeling as long as the farmer claims not to spray chemicals directly. It doesn't matter that the groundwater is poisoned or that nearby fields use banned pesticides. The USDA still accepts third-party certification. In 2019, an internal audit revealed that American inspectors had not visited Chinese farms for years. Yet their produce still arrived at U.S. ports, stamped organic, and cleared for sale. Imported organic ginger, spinach, and mushrooms have repeatedly tested positive for chlorpyrifos and malathion, both neurotoxic pesticides banned for domestic organic farms. But consumers never hear about the recalls because most go unreported, handled quietly through distributor agreements. The reality is brutal. Once the container leaves port, no one checks again. You trust a supply chain that trusts no one. This deception thrives on distance. When food travels thousands of miles, accountability dissolves. Labels blur, shipments mix, and tracking systems break. What started as one contaminated shipment can become hundreds of pallets of produce, blended and repackaged under multiple brands. It's the perfect environment for fraud. Complex enough to hide the evidence, profitable enough to make lying routine. The U.S. imports over $1 billion of organic produce from China every year, even though Chinese domestic consumers refuse to buy it themselves. That should tell you everything. The deeper truth is economic. True organic farming is slow, local, and expensive, but global retail demands scale. Corporations can't profit from real purity. It costs too much. So they found a loophole. Outsource the image, not the integrity. You pay triple for a cucumber grown in contaminated soil, shipped halfway across the world, labeled with a virtue it never earned. If the word organic once meant trust, today it means theater. The certification system has become a stage play performed for consumers desperate to believe that purity can be mass-produced. It can't. The soil remembers everything, every chemical, every lie. And when the global food system finally fractures under its own deceit, the label won't protect you. Only awareness will. Number 2. Organic. Dairy. You imagine green pastures, cows grazing under sunlight, and farmers who still care about the animals. That's the fantasy that the organic dairy industry sells you. But step inside the supply chain, and that postcard collapses fast. Many organic milk brands you see lined up in the cooler come from industrial-scale mega farms, operations that look nearly identical to conventional factory farms. Thousands of cows confined in feedlots, no real pasture access, and feed imported from overseas labeled organic on paper only. The result? Milk that's chemically cleaner by definition, but ethically and nutritionally no different from the cheap jug next to it. The USDA's organic rules for livestock were supposed to guarantee grass-fed diets and outdoor grazing. But the language is vague, full of loopholes. It requires access to pasture, not actual grazing. In practice, that means a small fenced dirt strip next to a barn can qualify as pasture. Corporate dairy producers exploited this wording perfectly. Satellite images have shown that some certified organic facilities keep over 10,000 cows packed shoulder to shoulder, their hooves never touching grass. Yet the milk still flows into your fridge under a wholesome green label. The corruption runs deeper. Much of the organic feed given to these cows, corn, soy, and alfalfa, comes from the same import networks out of Eastern Europe and China that have been repeatedly caught falsifying organic certifications. These imports are mixed with domestic feed in giant silos, making traceability nearly impossible. So even if the cow technically qualifies as organic, her food may carry pesticide residue, heavy metals, and genetically modified DNA. You're not drinking milk from nature, you're drinking milk from an accounting trick. Then there's the health illusion. Marketers push organic milk as nutritionally superior, but multiple studies have shown negligible differences in vitamin or protein content. What you do get, however, is milk with inflated prices and expiration dates extended through ultra-high temperature UHT pasteurization, a process that kills beneficial enzymes and flattens flavor. It's shelf-stable, profitable, and lifeless. The longer it lasts, the less alive it is. One whistleblower from a major organic dairy supplier described it plainly. "We're selling comfort, not milk." Consumers want to believe they're supporting small family farms, but those farms are dying out, replaced by consolidated corporations that hide behind multiple brand names. The small pastoral dairies that actually follow the rules can't compete on price and are often bought out or buried in debt. The industry calls it progress. In truth, it's a quiet extinction. The moral cost is equal to the nutritional one. Those cows, marketed as humanely raised, often live shorter, more stressed lives than their conventional counterparts. Their milk travels farther, is processed harder, and earns someone else the profit your trust built. When you pour it into your morning coffee, remember, you're not buying health. You're buying a story written by marketers, not farmers. Number 3. Organic eggs. You picture hens pecking at the ground, sunlight pouring through open fields, and baskets of clean brown eggs gathered by hand. That's the illusion. In reality, most organic eggs sold in supermarkets come from industrial barns crammed with tens of thousands of birds, where free range means nothing more than a small door to a fenced patch of dirt. Few hens ever step outside. They never touch grass, never see the sky, and never live the life that label promises. The term organic doesn't mean ethical. It means legal under loopholes designed for efficiency, not honesty. The USDA requires that organic eggs come from hens, fed organic feed, and given outdoor access. But outdoor access isn't defined in size, quality, or duration. A concrete porch with a roof counts. A fenced corner of gravel counts. As long as there's technically a door, the label qualifies. The industry figured this out decades ago, converting confinement barns into organic facilities overnight by adding a few token openings. Inside, ammonia burns the air, feathers litter the floor, and hens fight for space to move. Consumers imagine small farms, but the truth is consolidation. A handful of corporate suppliers control the majority of the organic egg market, selling under multiple brand names to disguise scale. Brands that sound local, Happy Valley Farms, Nature's Pride, Farmer's Best, often trace back to the same industrial processors. And because inspection schedules are pre-announced, facilities have days to clean up before auditors arrive. The deception is baked into the system. Nutritionally, these eggs aren't what you think either. When chickens are confined, they don't eat bugs, seeds, or wild greens that naturally enrich their eggs with omega-3 fats and carotenoids. Their diets consist mostly of imported organic corn and soy meal, which, as earlier chapters showed, are frequently contaminated. The result: pale yolks, weak shells, and reduced nutrient density. Factory eggs with a green label. You paid double for what your grandparents would have called standard. There's also a darker environmental irony. Organic certification doesn't account for animal density or waste management. So those vast organic egg farms create runoff lagoons that leach nitrogen and phosphorus into nearby water systems, the same ecological damage caused by conventional operations. The only difference is marketing. A small sticker transforms pollution into purity. What's left is moral residue. Every time a shopper buys a carton believing they're supporting humane practices, the system grows stronger in its deceit. Real small farmers, those who actually pasture their hens, can't afford certification fees or the massive distribution contracts chains require. They're squeezed out while the industrial model keeps expanding, pretending to be what it destroyed. So the next time you crack an egg labeled organic, ask yourself what that word cost. Not in dollars, but in trust. The farms you think you're saving might already be gone, and the hens that laid those eggs were never free. Number 4. Organic packaged snacks. The supermarket aisle whispers comfort. Organic, non-GMO, made with real ingredients. You pick up a granola bar, a bag of veggie chips, maybe an oat cookie sweetened with agave, and you tell yourself it's fine, it's healthy. But the moment you flip the package, the illusion collapses. Most organic snacks are nothing more than processed junk wrapped in moral language, engineered to sell guilt-free indulgence to health-conscious consumers. The ingredients have changed, but the addiction formula hasn't. The psychology behind it is calculated. The organic seal triggers trust and disarmament. It lowers skepticism, convincing you that sugar and oil can somehow be virtuous if the packaging says natural. But these snacks are designed in the same labs as mainstream junk food. The difference is branding, not integrity. The organic chip still bathes in seed oil. The clean cookie still relies on evaporated cane juice, brown rice syrup, or coconut sugar. Different names, same glucose spike. You're not avoiding toxins, you're funding a marketing pivot. Manufacturers know the demographic they're targeting: educated, middle-class buyers trying to eat better without sacrificing convenience. So they create health halos. A granola bar becomes energy fuel. A sugar-filled smoothie becomes organic hydration. A puffed corn snack becomes ancient grain crisps. Each label leverages the same psychological blind spot. If it sounds healthy, it must be harmless. But in reality, many of these products have as much sugar as soda and as much sodium as chips. The supply chain mirrors the deception. Organic corn and soy are often imported from unverified farms overseas, sometimes the same compromised sources used in conventional feed. The oils? Still high in omega-6 fatty acids like sunflower or safflower, known to drive inflammation. The preservatives may be natural, but their metabolic effects are identical to synthetic ones. Even packaging can leach microplastics when exposed to heat, undoing any supposed purity. It's not health, it's a more sophisticated form of self-sabotage. Real organic integrity means simplicity, whole foods, minimal processing, transparency. These snacks are the opposite: long shelf lives, opaque sourcing, and artificial stability disguised as innovation. And the economic collapse pushing food prices higher only fuels this deception. As raw materials grow costlier, brands dilute quality further, padding ingredients with fillers like tapioca starch or chicory root fiber to maintain organic status while cutting costs. You're left paying premium prices for manufactured scarcity and nutritional emptiness. There's a betrayal buried in every bite. You reach for these snacks thinking you're resisting the junk food industry, but you're still in its grip, just wearing greener packaging. The same corporations that sold you neon chips now own the organic labels that replace them. It's not rebellion, it's rebranding. And every dollar spent on convenience reinforces the very system you thought you'd escaped. If real nourishment is the goal, look past the label. Because when the next crisis hits, when shelves empty and trust collapses, the illusion of organic won't keep you alive. Only awareness will. Number 5. Organic baby food. Parents buy peace of mind. When they reach for a pouch labeled organic, they think they're choosing purity, protecting their child from the industrial world. But hidden behind the bright colors and soft promises is one of the dirtiest secrets in modern food production. Organic baby food isn't always clean. It's often contaminated with heavy metals, pesticide residues, and misleading claims, wrapped in the illusion of safety that plays on parental fear. What's worse is that everyone in the system knows and almost no one tells the truth. Independent lab tests over the past few years have exposed alarming levels of arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury in major organic baby food brands. These toxins don't appear on the label because they don't have to. The USDA organic standard focuses on agricultural practices, no synthetic pesticides, no GMOs. but it doesn't protect against contamination from soil, processing plants, or packaging. So, a farm can technically meet organic requirements, while its soil carries decades of industrial pollution. The vegetables grown there will still absorb those toxins, which then end up in a jar marketed as pure. In 2021, a U.S. congressional report revealed that multiple household name brands, including those labeled organic, were selling baby food with heavy metal levels far beyond what's considered safe for infants. Some products contained up to 177 times the limit for lead set by health agencies. The response wasn't reform, it was damage control. Companies issued vague statements, shifted suppliers, and resumed business as usual. Parents kept buying because they believed the label meant protection. The betrayal runs deeper than contamination. The organic baby food industry thrives on convenience over integrity. Instead of fresh purees made from local produce, most pouches and jars are assembled from imported concentrates, freeze-dried powders, and processed fruit slurries shipped from overseas factories. They're sterilized at extreme heat, destroying much of the nutrient value, then fortified with synthetic vitamins to appear balanced. What started as nourishment becomes a nutritional illusion, a product more about shelf life than life itself. Even the packaging carries risk. Many baby food pouches contain plastic liners that can leach chemicals when exposed to heat during storage or shipping. Parents trust those squeezable pouches because they're labeled BPA-free, but BPA-free doesn't mean safe. It often means replaced with BPS or BPF, compounds with similar hormonal effects. The toxin just changed its name. And yet, the emotional hook works every time. Parents believe they're buying love in a pouch, protection, care, and control. But what they're really buying is ignorance wrapped in comfort. The system counts on it. It knows most people will never test what they feed their children, never question what organic means when the stakes are this high. If this sounds bleak, it's meant to, because change begins when illusion breaks. Making baby food at home isn't about saving money, it's about reclaiming trust. A blender, real produce, and awareness will protect your child better than any label ever could. Number 6. Organic frozen meals. You open the freezer door and see salvation. Neatly sealed boxes promising organic ingredients, non-GMO, and chef-inspired recipes. It feels like control in chaos. But this convenience comes at a price hidden in plain sight. Most organic frozen meals are corporate simulations of nutrition, engineered for marketing appeal, not metabolic health. What you think is clean fuel is often a chemical compromise designed for profit, longevity, and your quiet compliance. Here's the deception. Organic certification doesn't guarantee freshness or quality. It only guarantees that certain synthetic pesticides weren't used at the farm level. Once the ingredients leave that farm, the system allows nearly anything to happen. Meals are flash frozen months before sale, soaked in preservatives approved for organic use, and sometimes reheated multiple times during transport. By the time you microwave it, what's on your plate is a lifeless reconstruction, food reduced to formula. The organic claim survives, the nutrition does not. These meals prey on exhaustion. Busy professionals, struggling families, health-conscious shoppers, they're all told that frozen organics are the ethical shortcut to balance. Quick, clean, sustainable. But sustainability ends where profit begins. The organic kale in your bowl may have been harvested in Mexico, chopped in California, and assembled in Illinois, while the grains were imported from suppliers in Turkey or China. Each step adds carbon, cost, and complexity. And every mile erases traceability. The result? A Frankenstein meal stitched together from ingredients no one truly monitors. Worse, the organic ingredients themselves are often low quality. Farmers under pressure to meet industrial-scale demand rely on monocropped organics, fields stripped of biodiversity, sprayed with natural pesticides like copper sulfate or pyrethrin that still damage soil microbiomes. The frozen meal industry loves these suppliers because they're cheap and consistent. You end up with ingredients that are technically compliant, but biologically empty. The color is there, but the life is gone. Then comes the sodium. To make up for lost flavor, manufacturers drown their meals in salt and organic cane sugar. A single frozen entree can contain over 800 milligrams of sodium, more than a fast food burger. Organic becomes a shield for industrial taste engineering, a word used to numb guilt while keeping you hooked on convenience. The packaging completes the illusion with imagery of wooden bowls and rustic typography. It's the aesthetic of health with the reality of dependency. You pay for this illusion twice, once at the register and again in your vitality. Because when you rely on these meals long enough, your body begins to mirror their condition, preserved, depleted, and dependent. The crisis isn't just economic or agricultural, it's psychological. The market has turned health into a subscription model, selling shortcuts that cost your biology its rhythm. The truth is simple. Real food doesn't come from boxes with expiration dates that stretch past the next season. If it needs a brand to prove it's clean, it probably isn't. The word organic was supposed to mean something sacred: purity, honesty, safety. Now it's a marketing language spoken fluently by corporations and regulators alike. You've seen what hides behind the label: contaminated soil, chemical feed, fake farms, and powdered lies. In an age of scarcity and deception, blind trust is the new toxin. You don't escape corruption by spending more, you escape it by knowing more. Read beyond the sticker, trace the source. Grow what you can, question what you can't. Because when the system finally collapses under its own deceit, awareness, not advertising, will be the only form of survival left.